Hello everyone. When teaching engineering and physics principle, I often relate them to practical application from research and industry, and occasionally draw parallel to social and political events. In this video, I explain a simple physical concept regarding air pressure and extrapolate lessons applicable to our societal and political practices. Consider an empty soda can. Adding drops of water transforms it into a system of water molecules at the bottom and air atoms, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide above. The stable shape of the can results from balanced pressure, internal atom exerting pressure equal to external atoms. Applying heat increases the kinetic energy of water molecules at the bottom and causes them to vaporize. As vapor molecules collide with air atoms, many air atoms and few vapor molecules exit the can. We will see vapor molecules and air atoms will be coming out of here. Despite fewer air atoms and vapor molecules inside the can, their increased kinetic energy sustains internal pressure against external pressure from atoms outside the can, preserving the can's shape. Immersing the can upside down in cold water stops air exchange and reduce the kinetic energy of air atoms and vapor molecules inside the can. Reduced kinetic energy causes vapor molecules to condense back into liquid and fall down. Now let's observe what happens to the can as we immerse it in the cold water. The fewer air pressure with less kinetic energy are unable to exert enough pressure inside the can, leading external atoms pressure to crush the can. Now let's apply this physical analogy to social and political dynamics. The soda can symbolizes familial, tribal, or national entities. Internal air atoms represent the majority of these entities, while water molecules at the bottom represent marginalized minorities. External air atoms represent neighboring groups or countries. The privileged movement of internal air atoms contrasts with restricted movement of the water molecules due to educational and economic disparities. Fire symbolizes resources provided by external forces to empower minorities in their demand for their rights. Empowerment of minorities to challenge the majority threatens stability, akin to vapor molecules gaining kinetic energy, leading to collisions and the departure of many air atoms alongside a few vapor molecules. External forces exploit minority, removing the can from the fire and immersing it in a cold water symbolize the external force withdrawal their support. So the minorities goes back down and the remaining majority in the can lose power and kinetic energy, eventually leading to the collapse of the entity without even waging a war. The lessons learned from these physical phenomena are the following. The protection of the entity does not lay in the elimination of minorities. The eradication of minorities and diversity is unattainable because they are intrinsic to human nature. For instance, if all religions were abolished except one, over time various denominations would emerge. Similarly, if only one denomination were preserved, diverse sectors and schools of thought would arise with time. Even if all schools of thought were eradicated, leaving only your own thought, you will be contradicting yourself over time. The solution to ending this enduring struggle lays in acknowledging diversity as a fundamental right rather than a mere concession, and actively fostering the success of minority groups so they can positively contribute to society. A second imperative is to enact legislation that curbs the disproportionate influence wielded by minorities over the majority through control of resources such as money and media. Just as water vapor molecules fail to protect the can when exposed to cold water, minorities cannot safeguard the country and themselves if the majority loses its loyalty. Lastly, it is crucial never to underestimate the power of individuals collaborating as a unified team. Much like the unseen and felt air atoms outside the can, when united, they can collectively exert enough force to crush metals. Thank you for watching and sharing this message.